help you move into your first apartment. If you're new here, my name is Nia and welcome to my channel where I provide a visual diary of my life and share my experiences. So you want to move out, I completely understand, but in this current economy, it seems a little scary and just overall unattainable. But I'm here to tell you that it is completely possible, and more importantly, you can do it. I hope that this video helps guide you into your journey and finding your own place, your own apartment. Jumping straight into the video, my first tip for you is to put your phone down. Don't be so consumed on what you see on social media. It will be the first place to pop your bubble, to rain on your parade, quite literally. I know that the internet can be such an amazing resource, but sometimes it trauma dumps on our lives and we pick up on other people's experiences and apply them to our life. Your life is your life is your experience. Even though somebody may be sharing their experiences on how something may not work, it doesn't necessarily always apply it to you. I don't want that to discourage you in following your own path, following your own journey. And there are other people who are doing just fine. They got it, and you can do it too. Plus, it's easy to think of all the ways things may not work out, but I challenge you to be just a little delusional, not too delusional. If somebody comes with ways why something wouldn't work, say no, it'll work. Just say nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. Like, I definitely don't want you to be too consumed on like all the reasons why renting and like trying to move out is hard to do. It's a challenge. Instead of saying that it's hard to do or it's impossible, just say it's a challenge. And it can be that, but you can definitely get out of it, you know. It's easy to think of all the ways something wouldn't work out, but I definitely encourage you to be just a little bit delusional on following your dream of moving out. Even though a number of things that could happen, that's not necessarily your reality of it, right? It's good to be observant and be aware of things, but don't let that be a reason on why you don't want to do something that you really want to do. And that kind of leads me to the next step. So create a vision for yourself. Like, what do you really want out of moving out? Whether that be your alone time, whether that be your own space, whether that be just feeling overall independent, I highly suggest that you write these things down, write what you want, and really start at a basis on why you even want to do this. I think it's a great way to kind of envision yourself doing it. It's some sort of like manifesting, right? When you write it down, whether that be your first night, imagining what your first night and waking up in your new apartment is, or the location, or how it looks, or your layout, I think it's great to put yourself in that vision of what your life would be like, what your life could be like once you move out. And it's a great motivation. It's something to look back on when, you know, you feel discouraged one of these days. It's awesome to kind of remind yourself on your possibility. Okay, so now the hard part. It's important to know baseline and where you are at financially. So yeah, you gotta look at how much you're making versus how much is going out. I'm sorry, I know it's hard and it can be discouraging, but it's important to stay focused. It's a starting point. That is not your destination. It's not your journey. It is your starting point. But it also gives you a chance to see what you can manage too. So whether that be knowing that you may need to maybe cancel a subscription or maybe not eat out as much. That was a personal issue that I had because I love Mexican food. Oh my gosh. Knowing how much is coming in versus how much is going out is really important to figure out your baseline and how much you have left over. So even if you find yourself overspending, it's good to analyze and see where you're overspending at. So maybe you can cancel that subscription that you don't need, or maybe you can eat out less. A tip that I also want to share too is I would highly recommend anybody opening up a high yield savings account. A high yield savings account is basically like when the bank pays you an annual percentage on basically using their services. So another example is if I had $100 in high yield savings and I never touched it, never spent it, the bank would essentially with a 5%, like if they would pay you interest 5%, you would get $5 by the end of the year just for banking with them. I personally use Capital One. Yeah, so I highly recommend you opening up a high yield savings account. It's a really great way to not only save your money, but you get paid pretty good interest on it, so that'll even assist with more in your saving efforts. And also on the topic of saving money and knowing your finances, I would talk to a friend who's also interested in moving out. Maybe you guys could become roommates, and when you have a roommate, basically all the expenses for renting or for housing would be split in half between the two of you. But I highly suggest you choose carefully. Choose somebody that you know will at least uphold their end of the stick. The last thing you want is to be in a situation with someone who can't afford to pay or doesn't want to pay or makes irresponsible financial decisions because you're left to carry them. I would definitely talk to a trusted friend that is also looking to move out so you guys can save together. And with that, maybe you guys would reach your financial goal a lot quicker if it's both of you guys kind of putting some play in the game together. My next step for you would be to start searching, really get a sense of what's around you. And even if you're looking to move out of state or just move to a different town, it's good to get familiar with the land and see what's out there and get a good sense of numbers as well. But I will add to that, it's important that just because maybe a property lists a certain number for their rent alone, there's also numbers and costs associated with renting. So for an example, you have your rent, but you also have renter's insurance. And even with renting, there are other expenses such as electricity and utility that varies depending on property. But something that I did was I kind of fluffed up the numbers. That way I wasn't surprised or underestimating what a potential cost could be. And it's always better to kind of overestimate, but then find out that a price or a cost is a lot cheaper than what that overestimate was. So that's something that I did even when looking for this apartment, was that I know that even though rent was an X amount, we'll say $1,510, that there's going to be costs associated with running the place. So I added an extra 100, maybe an extra 120 for personal reasons. So I highly suggest that as well. And lastly, I think that this is the most important tip. I think this is the most important step out of the entire video actually, is to be patient with yourself, okay? Depending on circumstances, you may even be looking around and still say that I don't think that this is obtainable. Just know that it is possible and it still is obtainable, but it just may take some time. I wouldn't put an exact time frame on it. It's nice to get grounded and have a starting point now. I think that's what this whole video is about, is just having a starting point. Knowing that, yes, you want to move out, figuring out what your current situation is, and basically determining on what is needed in order to get from point A to point B, and just being patient and taking those steps needed to get just a little bit closer. So even if you don't move out in the next 6 months or a year, it's okay. As long as you're saving and you have your vision, you're gonna get there eventually. So don't be discouraged on what somebody else may say or what you're seeing. As long as you're kind of running your own race and you're doing what you need to do, you will eventually get somewhere. And like I said, I had humble beginnings myself. And with being patient, there are gonna be days to where you just feel like it's still not accessible to you. But I want to encourage you, again, if I can do it, coming from humble beginnings, you can do it too. I always say I'm nobody special. And even then I have long ways to go on where I even kind of see myself, but you can do it. Please believe you can do it. It may take some time. It's going to take a lot of patience and a lot of grace for yourself. So I hope you found some value in this video. I hope this video overall helps you in your journey and looking and start saving for a new place and helping you get your apartment. Feel free to share this video to a friend that maybe you're hoping to become roommates, encourage them to move out as well. But if you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.